All right, so principle number 4, one call resolution. I know whenever I call into a company, I hate when I have to get transferred like 3 or 4 times and repeat my story 3 or 4 times before I can get an answer or a resolution. It's super frustrating. Nobody likes it. Same with our Insight customers. We don't want them to have that experience every time they call in. We want to make sure that whoever picks up the phone with that call takes ownership of the call, that they go out of their way to make sure that they can find a resolution for whatever the customer's concern is. We don't want to be just transferring customers willy nilly because we don't want to deal with their situation or because we're just being lazy about it. It's obviously it kind of goes along with holds, but if you have to transfer a customer, that's fine, do it. But if it is possible for you to take care of that issue, definitely want to keep the phone call limited to just the one, so that the customer doesn't have to keep calling us back, so that there's no phone tag, and so that they don't get frustrated repeating their story 8,000 times. So here is the magical um, key to all of your calls that you're going to need every single day on every single call. It's called the resolution cycle, and it's pretty nifty. So let's go through and just talk about it real quick. So every time a customer calls in, they're going to call in with a concern or a request or whatever. So you can see at the top of the resolution cycle there's a concern. Let's pretend here that we've got a customer who is upset because on their last service, the technician came in and stomped around their house with muddy shoes. And they're really upset about that, and they feel frustrated that that happened. So, what we're going to do is start out at the top of the resolution cycle and go around and just find out how we would address this with the resolution cycle. So, first of all, they've got the concern. What we want to do is listen to them. We don't ever want to interrupt them while they're explaining their situation. We want to listen intently, take notes, even if we need to, if they've got a really complicated situation. Take notes, hear what they're saying, and really try and understand. And then, after we've listened to everything they've said and they're done speaking, we want to repeat back just a short summary of what their concern was. Okay, Mrs. Alexander, it sounds like from what you've told me that the technician on your last service came into your home with muddy shoes and he tracked mud all through your house. Is that correct? Customer's then either going to say, yes, that's correct, or no, I actually meant this. So, repeating is a great tool because we validate and help the customer know that we were listening and that we understood what they were saying. And it also makes room for clarification. So if we didn't understand something that the customer said and we repeat back incorrectly, that allows the customer to then verify and say, no, I actually meant this. And then we can then repeat that and hopefully have better understanding of what they're trying to say. So after we repeat back, we definitely want to apologize and empathize. Empathy means relating with the customer. It means being on their side and helping them understand that we get where they're coming from. So in this situation, customer service representative would say something like, "Oh my goodness, Mrs. Alexander, I am so sorry about that. If I were you, I would be just as frustrated. I know, I'm sure you work hard for your money, you work hard to keep up your home, and it is completely unfair for one of our representatives to come and track mud through your home. That's totally unprofessional, and I truly, truly apologize." So, what I did there was apologize. I talked to her about how I would feel if I were her, and I also tried to just let her know I get where she's coming from. So that's a super important step. And then where you're going to go from there, after you empathize is addressing the concern. So they now know, okay, this customer service representative is on my side. They get where I'm coming from, but how are they going to fix it? So addressing the concern is how we're going to fix it. And what I would do in this case is inform the customer. I'll just give you an example. So let's go to addressing the concern. Mrs. Alexandria, what I want to do is go ahead and notify the service manager of this. Like I said, this is completely unacceptable, and I am so grateful that you called in to let us know about it because we need to get this fixed. What I can do is email him. We are going to make sure that we address this situation with the technician who came to your home and make sure he has further training so that this never happens again. I also would like to consult with him and see if we can find out if we can go back out and clean up the issue that you had, clean up the dirt that was there left by the technician. Like I said, I'm sure you work hard to keep your home clean. You trust us to come and take care of a service for you and not to make things worse at your home. I completely apologize. That's so frustrating. But like I said, we want to get this taken care of and make sure that this never happens again. And if necessary, we would love to come and clean up the spots that we made dirty. Okay, so what I did. In this case, there was a situation where we obviously erred. We had a technician who dirtied up her house. That's obviously unacceptable. So I tell the customer that. I make sure she knows, hey, this is a big deal to us and we want to make sure it will never happen again. Here's what I'm going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then here's what we're going to do to resolve it, which kind of goes into providing a solution, which, like I said, so addressing a concern and providing a solution definitely go hand in hand. Sometimes addressing the concern is the solution. Other times you kind of want to compensate a little bit if we really have done something wrong. In this case, I would certainly provide something else. So I would say, definitely, Mrs. Alexandria, we want to make sure that you know this is never going to happen again. Like I said, I'll email the branch manager, but I'd love to just go ahead and offer you $30 off your next service, just as an apology for the frustrating experience it was dealing with the muddy carpets. And I just wanted to let you know as well, we appreciate you as a customer. If you've got any bugs still, we would be happy to come out and do a retreatment. Like I said, you are warranted with our service. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so in that situation, you're providing a solution by, first, if they need it, a credit or something like that, which generally you'll have to get approved by a team lead or a manager. But in a case like this, it would most likely be approved. And then also just kind of reselling this service. If they bring up any other concerns like, well, hey, I've still got bugs, you'll want to talk about, kind of build the service up to them, help them feel like, okay, even though this annoying thing happened to me just now with Insight, they're making me feel like I'm being resold on the service. I feel like I'm happy about this purchase. I'm happy that I'm a customer with them. That's all a part of providing a solution. And then, like I said, if they bring up other concerns, you kind of have to go back through the cycle. You listen to their concern, you repeat it, you empathize, you address it, and then you provide a solution and go through over and over until every concern is resolved and the customer's happy. So what I have learned from using this resolution cycle is that literally every time it's used correctly, the conversation ends on a positive note. It could have started with the customer being super upset and confused, but if you use it the right way, they're always going to end up happy and satisfied. So like I said, the resolution cycle, super key, really important to do everything in order as I explained. And definitely it will help you on every single call. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys a fun little story about this kind of an experience with this same situation, the whole using the resolution cycle and having kind of one call resolution, the importance of it. So basically, last February 2015, in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Jersey area, there was a huge snowstorm. Um, and they got snow for just like months, and it was just piled up around their houses. And all of our customers were like freaking out because we were obviously scheduling winter treatments, and they're like, how in the world are you going to come treat our house when there's 5 feet of snow around the perimeter? And we were like trying to do the best we could to accommodate for each customer. But I had one of these customers call in. His name was David, and he had actually been transferred 2 other times before he got to me. And at this point, I was in retention, so he um, called in with the same concern as everyone else. Hey, I don't understand why I'm having a winter service. Can I just skip my winter service because the snow's ridiculous? And um, he was never given a straight answer. All he wanted was for someone to tell him what would happen if he skipped the service in the wintertime. And by this point, he'd been a customer with us for over a year. And apparently, none of the other CSR reps wanted to answer this question or did, which it's a simple question to answer, but he got so frustrated that he was like, okay, well, if you guys can't answer my question, I just want to cancel because I think it's ridiculous that you're trying to come out here when there's 5 feet of snow around my house. So he gets to me, he's really mad, and he is cursing and yelling because he's like, just doesn't understand why we're trying to schedule him an appointment and why we won't answer his question. So I try my best to definitely go through the resolution cycle. I listened to him, and then he just asked me straight up to address the concern, to address the question that he had, what would happen if he skipped the service. And I told him straight up what we would do. We unfortunately can't skip a whole winter service, so we would actually have to cancel your account and you would have to re-sign up with us in the spring. And then after I was able to tell him that, he was like, okay, thank you for giving me a straight answer. Um, I was able to kind of empathize with him and talk to him like, hey, I totally understand like how kind of doesn't even make sense to have someone come out when it's so freezing and so cold. Here's what we could do. And I addressed the concern. I said, hey, we'd be happy to push your service out just a month, which means it'll give more time. By March, the snow will be melted partially, which would actually be totally fine for our technicians to come and service. And we'd also be happy to schedule you. I'll schedule you personally. So he talked to me for a little bit. He kind of rejected that option at first, and was just kind of chatting with me about the legitimacy of the winter service. But eventually, at the end, he was like, "You know what, Lauren? You have been very nice to me, and you have addressed my concerns. And I know that I am a very difficult customer, but I'm gonna take you up on your offer. I'm gonna get the service in wintertime, in March. So you can go ahead and call me back." And I was like, yes. I was so happy because he was literally, when he got on the phone with me, he was so upset, so angry, and then by the time we were done, he was super happy and just like chit chatting with me. All because he had felt like I empathized with him. I understood where he was coming from, and then I gave him a great option, one that he wasn't even convinced would work at first, but after speaking with him about the service and just being really down to earth with him, acting like a friend, he was totally willing to open up and keep the service. And then toward the end of the conversation, he's like, "So, Lauren, I have a weird question for you." And I was like, okay. Like, what in the world is he going to ask? And he's like, do you have cats? And I'm like, no, but I like cats. And he proceeded to tell me that he owns the best cat litter in the world. It's a cat litter business, and he told me he was going to send me some coupons for his cat litter business. And I was like, all right, sweet. He's like, you can give them to your friends. And I was like, perfect. I would love that. So he actually did end up sending me some coupons. About a week later, I got a letter sent to Insight addressed to me with kitty litter coupons, which was like kind of awesome because I just felt so satisfied in that I had taken a customer from being super angry and upset to sending me cat litter coupons. And that's what the resolution cycle does. No, it doesn't equal cat litter coupons, but it means that we can take angry customers and make them into happy customers by using the resolution cycle and by not making them sit on hold, and just by addressing their concerns head on. Um, so, the moral of the story is that transferring customers unnecessarily doesn't do anything good for us or for the customer. Don't do it, it's dumb. Um, and then empathizing with the customer always gives you leverage. Every time you empathize, the customer then feels like, okay, this person's on my side. I'm kind of more willing to listen and hear what they have to say because they were willing to listen and hear what I had to say. So always empathize, it'll help you out. Really important quote: the customer truly does not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that was certainly the situation with David.